Every man and woman lives in a world built by thought. The unseen is always greater than the seen, for thoughts are the seeds from which circumstances grow. Just as a garden cannot bring forth roses from the seed of thorns, the life of man cannot bring forth prosperity from the seed of fear, doubt, or limitation. Money is an idea of God, a symbol of supply, and it flows naturally to the one who aligns his thoughts with abundance. When a person holds poverty in the mind, he is sowing poverty into his life. When a person holds wealth in the mind, wealth is drawn to him as iron is drawn to the magnet. You cannot think lack and receive plenty, any more than you can plant corn and reap wheat. The law is precise. Thoughts are things, clothed in invisible substance, and they hurry forth to find their expression. Every fortune began in thought. Every business, every invention, every creation that has enriched humanity first lived in the realm of thought. If you desire money, you must first prepare a place for it in your mind. Speak not of debts, of burdens, of empty purses, for every word is a command to the unseen forces around you. Declare instead, money is drawn to me, for I am one with the inexhaustible supply. Hold that thought steadfastly and money will obey. It may come through channels you never imagined, through doors you did not see, through opportunities you thought were closed. But it will come, because thought has summoned it. The universe is abundant, but man limits himself by the pictures he holds within. If he pictures lack, the universe reflects lack. If he pictures wealth, the universe reflects wealth. Thoughts are the silent architects of fortune. Your outer world is but a mirror of your inner world. A fearful thought is like a thief that drives away opportunity. A confident thought is like a beacon that guides prosperity to your doorstep. Money does not belong to toil alone. Many work hard yet remain poor, while others with faith and vision attract riches without strain. This shows us clearly that money follows thought before it follows labor. The one who works with a heart filled with fear of loss will see his wages consumed as quickly as they are earned. But the one who works with faith in divine abundance, who gives thanks that every effort is multiplied, will find his earnings expand and overflow. Guard your thoughts as a king guards his treasury. Cast out the robbers of worry and fear. Entertain only the guests of plenty, gratitude, and faith. For the guest you welcome in your mind is the guest that will sit at your table. If you would dine with wealth, seat wealth in your thoughts. If you would feast with prosperity, prepare the banquet of expectancy in your mind. When you look at your purse, bless it. Do not call it empty, for that is to curse it. Say instead, this purse is filled with the riches of God, and money comes to me in perfect ways. When you pay a bill, do not sigh in loss. Rejoice that you have the means to release it, and know that more will return multiplied. For what you bless increases, and what you curse decreases. The law is simple but unyielding. What you think upon, you bring upon. If you will persist in holding thoughts of abundance, wealth will be compelled to manifest. It cannot resist, for thought creates a magnetic current that draws its likeness. The mind is the workshop of God's riches, and man is the master builder by the blueprint of his thoughts. Therefore, think riches, think plenty, think increase, and money shall come. Thoughts are seeds, and money grows where thoughts of abundance are planted. Every condition of life begins first as a thought, an invisible seed sown in the fertile soil of the mind. Just as a farmer does not question the law of the harvest, so must we understand that every mental image, every belief, every word spoken with conviction is a seed set in motion, destined to bring forth its likeness. If a man continually holds in his mind the picture of lack, he is planting seeds of barrenness, and when the harvest comes, he reaps only emptiness. If, however, he holds steadfastly to the thought of abundance, seeing himself surrounded by plenty, giving thanks for the unseen supply that is ever present, he has sown seeds of prosperity, and the harvest will not fail. The ground cannot reject the seed, and the law cannot deny its own nature. Thoughts are not idle, they are living forces clothed in invisible substance, and once released, they begin to move toward expression. The world we see with our eyes is simply the outward manifestation of yesterday's thoughts. A man may toil with his hands from dawn to dusk, but if his thoughts are filled with fear, poverty, and doubt, his labor will be fruitless. Another may labor with less effort, yet with thoughts firmly fixed on plenty, and see doors of opportunity open, unexpected gifts appear, and money drawn into his experience as though by unseen hands. The difference is not in the hours worked, but in the seeds planted. The one who plants fear reaps fear. The one who plants wealth reaps wealth. Nature does not alter her law. She merely reflects the seed entrusted to her keeping. When you sow a seed in the ground, you do not dig it up each morning to see if it is growing, for to do so would disturb the process. You trust the soil to do its work in silence and in time. In the same way, when you plant thoughts of abundance, you must allow them to take root, without uprooting them through worry and doubt. Many people plant seeds of wealth with affirmations of faith, but dig them up with words of despair, when they see no immediate result. They speak of plenty one hour and of lack the next. This is like planting roses and pulling them up to sow weeds in their place. The harvest cannot be steady if the seed is not steady. To think abundance consistently, to water the seed with gratitude, to shield it from the choking weeds of fear. This is the discipline that brings forth the golden harvest. Consider how the universe itself is a mirror of abundance. The stars are countless. The sands on the shore are beyond measure. The waves of the sea never cease their motion. The seasons return without fail. There is no limitation in the divine order, only endless expansion, endless increase, endless provision. Money is but one symbol of this supply, a form of energy that responds to the thoughts held about it. To think of money as scarce is to close the gate of supply, but to think of it as ever-present, flowing, circulating, and multiplying is to align with the rhythm of the universe. The farmer knows that one kernel of corn produces many stalks, each bearing ears filled with hundreds of kernels. So it is with thoughts of wealth. A single seed thought can multiply itself into countless channels of supply. Man is often his own enemy in the field of thought. He looks at the outer condition and declares it as truth, forgetting that the outer condition is only the result of past sowing. If he sees an empty purse, he calls it empty, not knowing that he is planting the seed of continued emptiness. If he sees unpaid bills, he declares himself in debt, not knowing that he is watering the seed of debt with his words. He fails to understand that to reverse his condition, he must reverse his thought. He must bless the purse and declare it full. He must give thanks for the money on its way. He must sow a new seed if he desires a new harvest. For the ground does not remember the past, it simply brings forth what is sound today. To live in constant fear of not having enough is to plant seeds of scarcity with every heartbeat. These seeds grow into experiences of missed opportunities, closed doors, and endless struggle. But to live in faith, to continually affirm the richness of life, to give thanks in advance for the abundance unseen, this is to sow seeds of wealth that cannot fail to manifest. Money comes to the one who thinks money in the right way. Not by clutching it, not by fearing its loss, but by seeing it as an ever-flowing stream that replenishes itself as it is used. The miser, who thinks of money as limited and hoards it in fear, finds it slipping from his grasp. The generous man, who gives freely in faith, finds it returning multiplied. The difference lies in the seed thought. When one learns to control his thoughts, he learns to control his wealth. To master the inner image is to master the outer condition. If you will sit quietly and imagine yourself surrounded by plenty, feeling the joy of supply, seeing your needs met with ease, blessing every dollar that flows to you, you are sowing powerful seeds. These seeds are not bound by time or space, they go forth into the invisible substance of the universe, and draw to themselves the channels, the people, the opportunities through which they may express. The result may appear in a new idea, a chance meeting, a sudden opening in business, or a gift from an unexpected source. But the outer channel is not your concern. Your concern is to sow the seed of abundance in thought, to water it daily with gratitude, and to expect the harvest in perfect faith. It is important to remember that money itself is not the source, but only the fruit. The true source is the inexhaustible supply of the divine, and thought is the bridge between the unseen and the seen. The man who knows this does not chase money with desperation, for he knows it is a byproduct of his inner planting. He does not beg for opportunities, for he knows they are drawn to him by the magnet of his thought. He does not fear loss, For he knows the same law that brought supply before will bring it again, provided he sows the right seed. So it is with every fortune built, every prosperity gained, every life transformed. The story begins not with labor, not with chance, not with inheritance, but with thought. A thought of plenty, a thought of opportunity, a thought of faith, planted in the soil of the mind, nurtured with gratitude, and shielded from doubt, must bring forth after its kind. This is the unchanging law of the harvest. Thoughts are seeds, and money grows where thoughts of abundance are planted. What you bless increases, and what you curse decreases. Every word spoken carries with it a vibration, a tone, an unseen power that shapes the very conditions of life. To bless something is to acknowledge its divine source, to align it with the infinite stream of good, and to open the way for it to multiply. To curse something is to deny its value, to cut it off from the flow of supply, and to diminish its presence in one's life. Money, health, relationships, opportunities all respond to the atmosphere of blessing or cursing that surrounds them. When you bless money, whether it is a single coin or a great sum, you call forth more of it. When you speak ill of money, call it scarce, call it dirty, or fear its absence, you drive it away. The universe listens, not to the lips alone, but to the intention behind the words, and it responds in kind. Consider the man who receives his wages with complaint. He looks at the envelope or the bank transfer and declares, "This is not enough." His words are a curse upon his income, and by that curse, he shuts the door on increase. Another man may receive the same amount and say, "I bless this money, for it is the symbol of my divine supply, and I know it multiplies as it goes forth." His blessing breathes life into the money, and it returns to him in unexpected ways. The first man sees his wages consumed with bills and endless needs, while the second man finds his money stretches, multiplies, and opens new channels. The difference lies not in the sum but in the speech, not in the amount but in the blessing or cursing placed upon it. When you pay a bill, your attitude shapes the flow of supply. If you grumble, "These bills are ruining me," you curse your own abundance, and the law responds with continued struggle. If you say instead, "I bless this bill and release it with joy, knowing that more returns to me multiplied," you align yourself with the law of increase. What you bless cannot help but expand, for blessing is like sunlight to a seed. What you curse cannot help but wither, for cursing is like poison to the soil. Life itself reflects back to you the quality of your words, and money is no exception. Even in small matters, the law is precise. A woman may open her purse and sigh, calling it empty. She has cursed her purse, and by her own decree it remains so. Another woman may open her purse and say, "I bless this purse. It is filled with the riches of God, and money flows into it in perfect ways." Though the purse may contain only a few coins, her blessing prepares it for fullness. In time, the purse becomes a channel of plenty, not because of chance, but because she spoke increase into it. The invisible precedes the visible, and words of blessing summon the unseen supply. Blessing is not confined to money alone. When you bless others in their prosperity, you open the same door for yourself. To envy another's wealth is to curse your own, but to rejoice in another's success is to bless your own path. The one who looks at his neighbor's riches and says, "Why should he have so much?" plants a seed of resentment that bears bitter fruit. But the one who says, "I bless him in his abundance, and I rejoice that the same good flows to me," has planted a seed of increase that cannot fail. The law is impartial, it gives to each according to his words. Blessing multiplies, cursing diminishes. This truth extends even to the language of casual conversation. Many people habitually speak of money in terms of lack. They say, "Money is hard to come by. I never have enough. Times are bad. Everything is getting worse." These are curses disguised as observations, and the law takes them at their word. Their subconscious mind accepts the decree and fashions life accordingly. Others speak with words of faith. "Money comes to me easily. I always have enough. My needs are met in perfect ways." These words are blessings, and the subconscious receives them as truth, shaping conditions to match. The tongue may seem small, but it steers the whole ship of life. The act of blessing transforms the mind as well as the circumstance. When you bless your money, you shift your consciousness from fear to gratitude, from scarcity to supply. Gratitude itself is a magnet, drawing more of what is appreciated. To curse is to dwell in complaint, which shuts the door on opportunity. A grateful heart, speaking words of blessing, keeps the channel open. The person who gives thanks for what little he has, blessing it as though it were much, will soon find it increased. The one who despises his little, cursing it as insufficient, will see it shrink further. In spiritual law, blessing is multiplication. The story is told of loaves and fishes that fed thousands, and the key to the miracle was blessing. The supply was small, but it was blessed and broken with thanksgiving, and in that blessing, it increased until all were filled. So it is with money and with all supply. Bless what you have however small, and it will grow. Curse what you have however large and it will diminish. The law cannot be bent, it responds faithfully to the decree spoken. When you encounter delays, instead of cursing them, bless them. Say, "This delay is for my greater good." It clears the way for abundance to come in a better form. When you face obstacles, bless them. Say, "This obstacle is a stepping stone to greater prosperity." By blessing every circumstance, you call forth its hidden good. To curse is to blind yourself to opportunity. To bless is to reveal it. Even the act of giving is transformed by blessing. If you give grudgingly, you curse the gift, and it returns little. If you give with joy, blessing the one who receives, you call forth a harvest multiplied. Money that is blessed as it leaves your hand returns again increased. Money that is cursed as it leaves is lost with no return. This is why it is said to give with a cheerful heart, for joy and blessing open the channels of supply. Every thought of blessing is like sowing a seed of gold into the soil of the unseen. Every thought of cursing is like scattering stones that choke the growth. To live in blessing is to live in increase. To live in cursing is to live in decrease. You cannot serve both, for one opens the door and the other closes it. If you would see abundance, make blessing your language, your attitude, your habit. Bless your money, bless your work, bless your home, bless your opportunities. Bless even the smallest coin, for in blessing you multiply it. Money follows faith and expectancy, not fear and worry. Faith is the unseen hand that draws opportunities, resources, and wealth into the life of man. Expectancy is the open door that allows good to enter without resistance. Fear and worry, on the other hand, act as walls that block the very supply one longs for. A man may labor with all his strength, but if he works under the shadow of fear, imagining loss, speaking of failure, and expecting lack, he will find his efforts turn to dust. Another man, with fewer resources but greater faith, walks boldly in the assurance that supply is already his, and wealth flows toward him as though magnetized. The law of mind is such that whatever you expect, you invite, and whatever you fear, you attract. Faith and expectancy are seeds of abundance, fear and worry are seeds of poverty. The soil of life makes no distinction, it simply brings forth what is planted within it. Consider the merchant who opens his shop each morning. If he greets the day with worry, fearing no customers will come, fearing the market is against him, fearing loss and ruin, he is planting seeds of barrenness. His thought radiates lack, and his atmosphere repels prosperity. Yet another merchant, perhaps on the same street, opens his shop with faith, declaring, "This is a day of great opportunity. Customers are drawn to me. My business prospers." His expectancy is a beacon, and it attracts the flow of commerce. The difference between the two is not location, nor product, nor labor, but the atmosphere of thought and faith they hold. The one expects failure and so draws failure. The other expects prosperity and so draws prosperity. Faith does not mean hoping vaguely for good. Faith is certainty, a deep knowing that supply is already prepared, though unseen to the eyes. The farmer plants seed with faith, though he cannot yet see the harvest. He trusts the law of growth, expecting rain, sunshine, and increase. He does not dig up his seed in fear that nothing will happen. He rests in expectancy, knowing that the earth will bring forth. So it is with money and supply. When you declare that your needs are met, when you affirm that money flows to you in perfect ways, when you give thanks before the evidence appears, you are planting in faith. When you worry, when you doubt, when you speak of lack, you are uprooting the seed before it has time to grow. The harvest belongs to the one who waits in expectancy, not to the one who digs in fear. Worry is wasted imagination. It paints pictures of lack, of loss, of ruin, and by those pictures, it sets a mold for life to fill. Faith is creative imagination. It paints pictures of wealth, of opportunity, of success, and by those pictures, it opens the channels for supply to come forth. Both faith and worry use the same power, but one creates abundance while the other creates scarcity. To continually dwell on fear of bills, fear of poverty, fear of failure, is to water the weeds of lack until they choke out the harvest. To continually dwell on expectancy of increase, expectancy of opportunity, expectancy of supply, is to water the seeds of abundance until they bear fruit in due season. Money follows not the man who chases it in fear, but the man who waits for it in faith. Fear drives money away, for it is a declaration of distrust in the law of supply. Worry says, "There is not enough. I may lose what I have." These words close the hand that should be open to receive. Faith says, "There is always more than enough. My supply is secure. Money comes to me easily and constantly." These words open the hand, and money flows in. Expectancy prepares the purse for fullness, prepares the table for the feast, prepares the life for overflow. A man who expects abundance makes room for it in his thoughts, his plans, his actions, and abundance comes because it finds a prepared place. Even the smallest act can be transformed by faith and expectancy. A person may give a coin in fear, believing it is all they have, and the coin departs never to return. Another may give the same coin in faith, blessing it, expecting it to return multiplied, and it does. Money is not bound by the coin itself but by the thought surrounding it. The same amount, in one case cursed with fear, diminishes, and in another case blessed with faith, increases. This is the law that governs all circulation. The current of supply is drawn to faith and repelled by worry. Fear and worry create confusion in the mind, clouding judgment and blinding the eyes to opportunity. A man filled with worry cannot see the open door before him, for his thoughts are fixed on disaster. He missteps, he hesitates, he rejects the very chance that would bring him wealth. The man of faith, even in times of uncertainty, keeps his inner vision clear. He expects good, and so he sees the open door. He moves boldly, and opportunities gather around him. Faith sharpens perception, worry dulls it. Faith creates clarity, fear creates blindness. The wealthy man is not the one who sees with outer eyes, only but the one who sees with the eyes of faith. To live in faith and expectancy is to live in joy, for such a person walks as though his fortune were already present. He does not wait for proof to rejoice, his expectancy is his proof. Joy itself is magnetic, attracting people, opportunities, and money. The worrier with his gloomy face and heavy words repels these very things. Faith shines like a light, drawing prosperity from afar. Worry casts shadows, hiding good from view. To walk in faith is to walk in light, to walk in worry is to stumble in darkness. Money is quick to follow the one who believes it belongs to him by right of divine inheritance. Faith claims it, expectancy prepares for it, worry doubts it. Fear pushes it away. The man of faith does not concern himself with the channel. He knows that supply may come through business, through a gift, through a sudden idea, or through unexpected means. His focus is not on how but on the certainty that it will come. The worrier, however, binds himself to limited channels. He insists the supply must come in a particular way, and when that way seems blocked, he despairs. Faith keeps all channels open, worry closes them. Each day presents the choice to plant seeds of faith or seeds of fear. Every thought is a seed, and the harvest depends on the sowing. To rise in the morning and say, "This day is filled with prosperity, money comes to me from expected and unexpected sources, I expect only good," is to plant seeds that must bear fruit. To rise in the morning and say, "I do not know how I will get through, there is never enough, things always go wrong," is to plant seeds that must also bear fruit. The law is impartial, it gives back exactly what is planted. The wise man plants faith and expectancy, for he knows money follows them as surely as the shadow follows the body. Money follows faith and expectancy, not fear and worry. Faith is the invisible magnet that pulls wealth, opportunities, and resources into one's life. It is not merely hope or wishful thinking, but a certainty, an inner conviction that supply is present even before it is seen. Expectancy is the door kept open. The hand stretched out ready to receive, the table prepared for the feast. Fear and worry, however, are like locked doors and clenched fists. They repel the very good one longs for. A man may work endlessly. Yet if his mind is filled with anxiety about loss, if he pictures failure, if he doubts that supply will come, then all his efforts are wasted. Another man, with less effort but a heart filled with faith, expects abundance, speaks it, feels it, and money is drawn to him as though by law. The world is not moved by labor alone, but by the vibration of thought. And faith is the vibration that opens the storehouses of supply. Faith always precedes manifestation. The farmer plants seed because he believes the earth will yield its fruit. He does not dig up the soil each day and worry, he trusts the process. So it is with money. The one who affirms, all my needs are met, my supply is constant, my prosperity flows, is planting seeds of wealth. He waters them with gratitude and shelters them with expectancy. But the one who fears, I may lose everything, nothing works out for me, money is slipping through my fingers, is planting seeds of lack and watering them with worry. The harvest of each is certain, for the soil of life is impartial, it gives back exactly what is sown. Worry is the misuse of imagination. It is painting a picture of loss, scarcity, and disaster, and then energizing it with emotion until it begins to form an experience. Faith is the right use of imagination. It paints a picture of abundance, opportunity, and security, and energizes it with belief until it draws to itself the very likeness it imagined. Both worry and faith are creative forces, but one creates ruin while the other creates wealth. To live in constant fear of unpaid bills, to dwell on the thought of poverty, to repeat words of lack, is to prepare the ground for more of the same. To live in constant expectancy of good, to dwell on thoughts of increase, to speak words of supply, is to prepare the ground for continual harvest. Money follows the one who sees it as part of the divine flow. Fear says, there is not enough. I may lose what I have. These thoughts shut the hand that should be open to receive. Faith says, there is always enough. My supply is limitless and ever renewing. These thoughts stretch forth the hand, and money flows in. Expectancy prepares the room for abundance, enlarges the purse, sets the table for plenty. Without expectancy, blessings may arrive but find no welcome place. With expectancy, they cannot help but come, for the place is prepared. Even in the smallest things, this law operates. Two people may give the same amount of money,